For my hobby project, I decided to do a little gardening. In early June, my family decided to put in a garden. This was before I got the assignment for this class, but I actively helped plant the seeds, put up the fencing, and take care of the soil before we put the seeds in. Once I took over caring for the tomato plants, my responsibilities included watering the plants every day, fertilizing the soil, pruning, and getting rid of the bugs using a natural spray. In this picture, you can see the beefsteak tomato plants. They're about 4 feet 6 inches tall. This picture was taken on August 1st. Here you can see some of the tomatoes in a little better detail. They still have a way to go, as each tomato can actually grow to be over 3 pounds. According to Dr. Patricia Howard, through early civilizations, women were the gatherers in the hunter-gatherer society. Women throughout the globe always held a knowledge of wild plants and what plants to use when it came to making food. Throughout history, the women's role at home has required this knowledge of gardening skills. When we're looking at modern day gardening, we have to look at the history of gardening to find out why women are such a predominant force in gardening of today. And that is because of the society based on the hunter-gatherer. The women stayed at home to care for the children and to make food, while the men went out and hunted. This model has been changing recently because of studies done. One of the studies, based on 135 societies, found that 79% of the food collected was by women. These plants not only offered food, but medication to treat different illnesses. What I found interesting during this assignment is that historically, gardening was done by women as a survival instinct to make food, medicine. In today's culture, there aren't many men who practice gardening as a leisure activity. However, gardening on a larger scale, crop production, is predominantly done by men. Historically, gardening, a survival tool done by females, is now predominantly men using it for crop production and survival. There has been another part of gardening which has been mainly taken care of by men, and this has been the lawn. Since the early 17th century, the English have been known for caring for their lawns in great detail. But what drove men to want to take care of these lawns so badly? It may have been the act of taking care of the mower itself, which was a technological advancement of the time. It may have been because they could escape the wife and children, go into the shed where they kept the tools, and also it may have been because mowing the grass prepared the yard for sporting events such as cricket. Gardening fits into the traditional ideals of a woman because socially, women were seen as the family caretaker. They were the nurturer of the family. They controlled the food flow in and out of the house. Many other activities grew out of everyday duties for women. Gardening falls into one of the women's household duties. This chart shows the definition of specific household and child care activities by gender. They asked males and females if each of the activities was considered a leisure activity or work. Gardening was shown to be least likely work for women and more likely to be work by men. Other activities, including childcare, were shown to be leisure activities for women. I believe several factors have prevented a large change in the participation in gardening. One is there has been a strong media push that gardening is women's work. Martha Stewart's magazine, HGTV, many show women gardening. And many women are still stay-at-home moms. They take pride in being the family nurturer. And I believe that showing to be able to take care of a garden shows responsibility for taking care of a family. So why haven't I ever participated in gardening? I felt like I've never had an interest in gardening in the first place. Flowers were never my thing. Growing vegetables were never my thing. My mom always took the initiative. She came home with lots of plants and lots of gardening supplies. I looked at this as work, and I wanted to stay away from work. While taking on this gardening experience, I felt a great responsibility to keep those plants alive. There was a pressure on me that if I didn't do something, those plants would die. But at the same time, I felt like I was helping to feed and nurture my family because I was providing them with food. I now understand why my mother wanted to garden. She likes to provide the family with vegetables to help feed us. And now I understand why my father takes so much pride in the lawn. From now on, I am going to leave the gardening to the professionals. As you can see in this picture, my gardening skills weren't that great and resulted in some burnt tomatoes.